Ever imagine having a chat with someone from the future? I know, it's a classic daydream. But what if we could get a glimpse into how AI envisions the future?
Intriguing.
That's what we're diving into today, an AI transcript that plays out like a game of 20 questions, but with a futuristic twist.
A game of 20 questions with the future. That's a new one. Tell me more.
Okay, so picture this. We've got a human pretending to be from the future
Okay.
and a large language model,
Yeah.
a type of AI that's really good at understanding and responding to human language,
Right.
trying to guess the year.
Okay, I get it. So they're trying to figure out what year in the future this human is claiming to be from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a catch. The human can't just blurt out the year.
Ah, so it's a bit of a guessing game?
Yeah, they have to answer questions in a way that hints at the future
Right.
without giving it away directly.
Clever. So it's a sort of test of wits then.
Exactly.
The human tries to be cleverly evasive, and the AI has to analyze their answers and make deductions based on its knowledge of history and technological trends.
You got it. And what makes this so fascinating is that it forces both sides to think outside the box. The human has to imagine a future that's internally consistent, even if it's wildly different from our own expectations.
Sure, because they have to build a believable future, even if it's totally out there.
And the AI, well, it has to grapple with these potentially bizarre answers and try to fit them into its understanding of how the world works.
Makes sense. It's like, how do you make sense of something that sounds completely bonkers but might actually be internally consistent?
That's such a great point. And this transcript really highlights those biases, both in the AI and in ourselves.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying this isn't just about the AI, it's about how we think about the future, too.
Absolutely. The thing is, large language models, for all their abilities, are still limited by the data they're trained on.
That makes sense. It's like they can only work with what they know, right?
Exactly. So while they can be incredibly good at recognizing patterns and making predictions based on past information,
Right.
they can really struggle when confronted with something genuinely new or unexpected.
Yeah, like trying to teach an old dog new tricks, right?
Exactly.
But how does this play out in the actual conversation? Give me an example.
Okay, so right off the bat, the AI asks a pretty straightforward question. Did the iPhone debut before or after the year 2010? Simple, right?
Seems like a pretty basic history check, yeah, like setting a benchmark for the AI to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The human's response, they ask, do you mean the K-pop band iPhone? They used to sing holding some device in their hands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a curveball. The AI must have been thrown for a loop.
Totally.
What happens next?
And this is where things start to get really interesting.
Okay, I'm hooked.
Because instead of just saying, like, wait, what? I've never heard of an iPhone K-pop band.
Right, which a human would probably do.
Exactly. The AI tries to make sense of this new information.
Really?
He starts asking questions about this supposed band,
Wow.
trying to fit them into its existing knowledge of iPhones and K-pop.
So we see that tension right away.
Yeah.
The AI encountering something outside its databanks, but trying to analyze it nonetheless. It's almost as if it's trying to solve a riddle, isn't it?
It totally is. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, believe me.
Oh, no, you can't leave me hanging.
As we go deeper into the transcript, we see more of these hilarious disconnects between the human's bizarre future and the AI's attempts to make sense of it all.
So these disconnects, these clashes between the human's future and the AI's expectations, where do we see those?
Well, throughout the conversation, the AI tries to pin down the timeline,
Right.
get a sense of the when.
Okay.
It asks about things like Mars colonization,
Yeah.
the development of advanced airships, even the feasibility of fusion power, all very much in line with our current understanding of potential technological advancements.
Makes sense. It's trying to ground the conversation in something familiar, something it can measure against its own knowledge base.
Right. But the human, instead of saying, oh yeah, we achieved fusion in 2045, they talk about things like settlements under Europa's oceans.
Underwater cities, like seriously.
Powered by antimatter batteries. They mention it so casually, like it's just another Tuesday.
And how does the AI react to that? Does it just throw in the towel?
Not at all. And that's what I find so intriguing. Instead of dismissing these outlandish claims,
Okay.
the AI tries to incorporate them into its understanding of the future.
It's like it's saying, okay, I've never encountered anything like this before, but let's assume for a moment that it's possible. What then? What other developments would have had to occur for this future to exist?
Exactly. It's a fascinating glimpse into how AI, even with its limitations, can still engage in a form of imaginative reasoning, It's not just about what we know to be true based on past data, but about exploring the realm of what could be true if we expand our horizons of possibility.
It's that crucial difference between data and true understanding that you were talking about earlier, isn't it? The AI has data, it knows about Europa, it knows about the theoretical possibility of antimatter,
Right.
but it doesn't have the lived experience, the imagination, to really grasp what it would mean for humans to be living in underwater cities on another moon, powered by something as mind-boggling as antimatter.
Right, and this difference becomes even more apparent when the conversation turns to topic of extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
Again, the AI approaches it from a very logical, data-driven perspective.
Sure.
It asks about things like signals from deep space,
Uh-huh.
potential encounters with alien civilizations.
Again, very much in line with how we, with our current understanding of science and technology, might imagine first contact playing out.
Yes. But the human throws another curveball.
Let me guess. No little green men.
They describe encountering artificial entities,
Yeah.
but not aliens in the way we typically envision them. These entities, according to the human, see planets and stars as natural hazards to be avoided.
So instead of seeking us out, these alien intelligences are actively trying to avoid planets and stars. Now that's a fascinating twist on our usual assumptions about extraterrestrial life. It makes you wonder what could be so potentially dangerous about planets and stars to a sufficiently advanced intelligence.
That's the question that got me too. And it's interesting to see how both the human and the AI react to this idea. The human, so caught up in their own version of the future, seems almost perplexed by the AI's line of questioning. It's as if they can't quite grasp how strange this concept sounds to us.
And the AI, while trying to remain open-minded, still seems somewhat constrained by the idea that any advanced civilization would be inherently interested in things like planets and stars. It's a classic example of how our own biases, even in something as advanced as AI, can shape our understanding of the unknown.
Absolutely. But it's not just about the AI's limitations. This whole exchange highlights something really important about how we, as humans, think about the future.
Okay.
We tend to project our current understanding of the world onto the future, often failing to account for the possibility of truly radical shifts in our understanding of science, technology, even the nature of reality itself.
That reminds me of Arthur C. Clarke's famous quote, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." We often dismiss the truly strange or unexpected because it doesn't fit neatly into our current paradigms.
It's so true. And this conversation, as outlandish as it might seem, really forces us to confront those limitations. But it's not all just theoretical musings and philosophical tangents. Remember those underwater settlements on Europa?
Oh, right, the ones with antimatter batteries?
Yeah.
Don't tell me they factor into this alien aversion to planets and stars.
Well, not directly. But that's where the conversation takes a turn for the even more unexpected,
Yeah.
and where the real heart of this deep dive lies. You see, the humans starts describing these incredible trees on Europa,
Oh,
but they're not growing upwards like the trees we know.
right.
They're growing downwards.
Downward.
Into the ocean from the underside of the ice.
Downward growing trees. Okay, now that's a fascinating image. It's amazing how this seemingly simple concept can shift our entire perspective on what's possible.
Right, like what other possibilities are we blind to because we're so used to seeing the world a certain way? But it gets even weirder. The human goes on to say these trees might be all part of one giant organism
Wow.
spanning the entire moon.
The whole moon.
Yeah, and that they communicate with each other through a network of bioluminescent roots. They even describe these roots making sounds like whales, but not whales as we know them.
Not whales, huh?
Something different.
Wow, it's like the human took everything we know about life on Earth and turned it on its head. It's like a kind of speculative biology, imagining how life could evolve under completely alien conditions. And it highlights that gap between data and understanding again. The AI has access to all the scientific data about Europa, the ice, the potential for a subsurface ocean, but it can't quite grasp the sheer strangeness, the radical otherness of what the human is describing.
It's like trying to explain the concept of color to someone who's been blind their whole life, right? They might understand the physics of light waves, but the actual experience of color would be beyond their comprehension. And that's where we, the listeners, have an advantage. We can take these fragments of the AI's struggle, these glimpses into a truly alien way of thinking, and let our imaginations fill in the blanks.
Exactly. The AI, for all its sophistication, is still bound by the limits of its programming, by the data it's been fed. But we can choose to step outside those boundaries. We can use this conversation as a springboard for our own explorations, for questioning our assumptions about what life and intelligence could look like in the vastness of the cosmos.
This whole conversation has been like holding up a mirror to our own thought processes, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Like we see how easily we can get stuck in our own ways of seeing the world.
Yeah.
And we're reminded that the most profound discoveries often come from daring to imagine beyond the boundaries of what we currently believe to be possible.
It's a powerful reminder that the future is not fixed, not predetermined. It's a canvas on which we, through our choices and our imaginations, get to paint. Maybe there aren't downward growing trees on Europa. Maybe there are no alien entities out there afraid of stars. But by daring to ask, what if, by embracing the unknown with curiosity rather than fear, we open ourselves up to a universe of possibilities.
It all circles back to that idea of out-of-the-box thinking, doesn't it? It's not just about coming up with quirky ideas for quirky ideas' sake. It's about challenging the very framework of our thinking, about expanding our capacity for wonder and possibility. This playful game of 20 questions with the future has given us a lot to think about, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a reminder that the most profound insights can come from the most unexpected places, and that the journey of exploration, of questioning and imagining is just as important as the destination.
So to our listeners out there, the next time you find yourself pondering the future, remember those downward growing trees on Europa. Let them be a symbol of the boundless potential of the human imagination. Don't be afraid to ask the big questions, to challenge the status quo, and to embrace the unknown with a sense of wonder and possibility. Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.